A Boylston woman who recently died of ALS wrote her own obituary in a style that, if you didn't know her, made you wish you did.
Linda Murphy's humor about her battles with cancer, then ALS, and everything that came along with it caught the attention of many when it was published. WBZ's Mike Sullivan spoke to her daughter about why Murphy chose her last words with a big smile.
If tradition is how we pass on memories, they consider this scratch ticket a baton, especially in the hand of Justine Hastings.
My mom just passed away last week, and she loved handing out scratch tickets to people to just make their day.
Only this isn't the gesture people will remember most about Linda Murphy. It's her obituary.
Please, please, please don't waste money on flowers. Buy a bunch of scratch tickets and give them out to strangers along the way.
Her mother wrote it herself, even though she hasn't been able to speak in a year.
Well, if you're reading this obituary, it looks like I'm dead. Wow, it actually happened. I died of FOMO due to complications of ALS.
When the first symptoms hit, she went to the doctors at Mass General with a request.
And said, I have ALS, prove me wrong. And they did every single test, and she diagnosed herself.
Does that sound like your mom?
That is the most my mom thing she's ever done.
She's a cancer survivor and even wrote a book about it. The title, as uplifting and tongue-in-cheek as her obituary.
I lived my life with two superpowers. My first, of which everyone was jealous of, was that I could drink as much as I wanted and never seemed to get hungover. The real wonder is why I didn't die of liver failure.
She says her other superpower is always being happy and nice to people.
One of my favorite comments was, I just read this and I wish I could have had a glass of wine with her.
I believe that was actually the email that I sent your father, which was basically the exact same thing.
They connected to a woman trapped in her own body, fighting to go out on her own terms. She chose a casket, selected the music at her funeral, and planned one last dance party.
She was the life of the party. She was the party.
So in her honor, hand out a scratchy.
We got $2.
You never know what positive impact may happen.
Spread positive.
I'm getting married on Sunday. That's like,
oh my gosh.
In Westboro, I'm Mike Sullivan, WBZ News.
We both read that obituary, and what a joyous person.
And when it comes to the scratch tickets, it feels like knowing her was the ultimate jackpot.
That's right, a friend.
Welcome back to Designing Your Goodbyes. Thank you for joining me for another meaningful conversation about life, loss, and the power of preparing with purpose. You know, in this space, we talk honestly about something that makes many people uncomfortable: death. But the truth is, when we learn to talk about death, we actually learn to live more deeply. In today's story, it's one that captures this truth perfectly. This woman who decided to write her own obituary. Now, when you hear that, you might have a reaction. You might think, why would anyone do that? But this woman wasn't trying to be morbid or depressing. She was facing a terminal illness with courage and creativity. Instead of waiting for someone else to tell her story, she decided to tell it herself. Her obituary wasn't just a list of dates and facts. It was a love letter to her family, her friends, and to life itself. She wrote about the little moments that mattered most, and as we can see, how we can leave her legacy and her memory and impact others by simply giving out scratch-off tickets to strangers. What stood out to me most was her acceptance. She didn't run from the truth. She met it with grace. And in doing so, she reminded the world that goodbye doesn't have to be filled with fear. It can be filled with gratitude. Accepting our mortality doesn't mean giving up. It means showing up to life with both eyes open. So many of us live as though tomorrow is guaranteed. We push conversations away saying, I'll deal with that later. But when we acknowledge that our time is limited, we start living differently. We prioritize differently. We say, I love you faster. We forgive sooner. We savor the sunrise instead of rushing past it. And for those who have been given a terminal diagnosis, I've seen as a hospice chaplain that awareness can become a strange kind of gift. It sharpens your sense of what truly matters. The woman who wrote her obituary, she wasn't dying. She was living with intention. And that's what designing your goodbyes is all about, taking ownership of the moments that matter most right up to the end. Many people avoid talking about end of life plans because they think it's too soon or too sad. But I want you to hear me clearly. Pre planning is not about death, it's about direction. When you pre plan your funeral, your memorial, your estate, or even the words you want read at your service, you're giving your loved ones the most beautiful gift: clarity. I've seen families torn apart because they didn't know what their loved one wanted. I've also seen families who felt peace because everything had been discussed and documented. One family even told me it was like she was still leading us even after she was gone. That's what this woman did when she wrote her obituary. She led her loved ones through her final chapter with love and intention. To those of you listening right now who are living with an illness, first I want to say, I see you, I hear you, and I honor your courage. Your story is still unfolding, and your voice still matters. You have the right to talk openly about what you want when that time comes, whether it's what kind of care brings you comfort, how you want to spend your final days, or what music you want played at your service. Your preferences matter. These conversations don't take away hope, they actually create peace. And peace, my friends, is one of the most powerful forms of healing there is. It's okay to say I'm scared. It's okay to admit I'm not ready. We all feel that way at times, but when we bring those fears into the light, we rob them of their power. This woman who wrote her own obituary wasn't pretending to be fearless. She simply chose honesty over avoidance. She modeled for all of us that faith doesn't always mean denying reality. Sometimes it means walking through it with courage and community. And that's why conversations like this matter. When we can talk about death without fear, we begin to talk about life with more purpose. Writing your own obituary is just one way to design your goodbye. You can record videos for your children, write letters for future birthdays, create memory boxes, or craft a final blessing to be read at your service. Every one of these acts becomes a seed of love planted for those you'll leave behind. Imagine your loved ones opening a letter from you that says, I love you. Keep living, keep laughing, keep trusting God. That's the kind of legacy that transforms grief into gratitude. That's what this woman's obituary did. It made people smile through their tears. That's the beauty of an intentional goodbye. If you're wondering how to begin designing your own goodbyes, my book, Designing Your Goodbyes, was written to walk with you through that process step by step. It combines spiritual insight with practical tools to help you create a plan that reflects your faith, your values, and your love. And if you'd like to go deeper, I'd love to invite you to become a member of my YouTube channel. As a member, you'll get exclusive access to behind the scenes reflections, early releases, live discussions, and a growing community of people who believe, like you, that grief doesn't have to end in despair. You can join by clicking the join button on my YouTube page or visit the link inside of the description below. Before we close, I want to leave you with this. We all have an ending to our story, but we also have the power to write how that ending feels. This woman who wrote her own obituary didn't let death define her. She used it as an opportunity to remind the world how to live. So may you find peace in preparation. May you find courage in conversation, and may you design your goodbye with the same love that you've lived your life. Until next time, thank you for joining me at my desk. I'm Dr. Dandridge, and this has been Designing Your Goodbyes.